To see. There we go. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me. My guest this evening or afternoon, depending on where you are in the country or in the world, to my 10 viewers, is somebody who I've been friends with on Instagram for some time. We've exchanged messages, guitar questions. She posts a lot of cat pictures, which I think is absolutely wonderful.
hmm
Nanae Fujiwara, thank you for joining me. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing good. How are you?
Excellent. So what's new?
What's new?
What's new? Have you gone outside and done anything fun in a while?
Um, well, going for walks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's about it. That's always fun.
I saw one of your posts recently. You were saying that you started doing more practicing um, than you had
Oh,
been, and I feel like if you're anything like me, this whole
mhm.
quarantine stuff like really makes you not want to do anything,
Right.
and then it actually takes a little bit of motivation to get back into it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm practicing as much as before quarantine,
Yeah.
actually. But like when COVID first started and we had to be in lockdown, like it really hit hard.
Mm.
So I definitely didn't have any motivation. I was like always depressed and I didn't want to do anything. And then at the same time, all these like projects started happening and
Hmm.
coming up, like virtual things, right? So that's why like it took away so much of my time that I felt like, wow, I all of a sudden am busier than before COVID.
Absolutely.
So
I've heard that from everybody I've talked to. And I definitely felt the same way. It wasn't until maybe the beginning of this month that I started really getting back into shape guitar wise. But the same,
mhm.
like I was like depressed about it. It was like just so ridiculous that everything came to like a screeching halt, you know? Like
Right.
even the gigs that I didn't want before I couldn't get anymore. You know, like I don't like to do the background music gigs, but I can't get any of them now because there's no dinner happening anywhere.
There's no jobs out there for that. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no
yeah.
room. Um, yeah, I totally feel that. I don't know. It's just so shocking. Like this whole thing is
It's
just
nuts.
so
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
So up until COVID, what were you doing? What would you be doing now if you weren't in quarantine? I know you do a lot of teaching and you do a fair amount of gigging, and I of course want to ask you about how you got there. But right now, what would you be doing?
Right now, I would be in a lesson.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. It's Memorial Day. So I would have today off. But yeah. I would probably be practicing a lot for an upcoming concert.
Hmm. Did you
hmm
have things booked that you had to cancel?
hmm I
What?
had a really big gig in April that got
Oh,
canceled.
ugh.
Uh-huh.
What was it? Was it a
It
concert?
was a pretty cool gig actually. So in September, so last September, I played in Kansas City and I met some really cool people and I developed a connection with a friend of mine who I'm staying with right now. And he helped me get this gig essentially through the Kansas City Sister City Association.
Okay.
Yeah. So because the Kansas City is they have a lot of sister cities, but Sevilla
Hmm.
is one of them, and then and my hometown in Japan
Okay.
is one of the other sister cities. So he thought that I would be like the perfect fit for this event
Yeah.
essentially.
And
So
of course it stopped
yeah,
because yeah.
yeah, exactly.
And do you
It's
currently
just
teach?
getting postponed, but
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I
Are you,
still get to play, but
oh, awesome, awesome.
yeah, but who knows when it's gonna be.
Yeah, could be whenever. And
Right.
so, I know you teach. What kind of places do you teach? Do you do like music store stuff, or do you have your own studio?
Yeah, so it's mainly music studios.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh,
And mostly, do you do like a lot of Suzuki stuff or younger
mm,
kids or older students? Is it mostly classical? What kind of stuff are you teaching?
um, my students are like, you know, I have a wide range of students, so from little ones to adults.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
Yeah.
It's usually
Absolutely.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some serious students, some students who are not so serious,
Hmm.
you know, adults
It's a
who
grind.
just want to do this for fun or yeah. Um
And so let's back up because I love
okay.
hearing the origin story of everybody.
Sure.
Um, I definitely want to hear about all your travels, and I really love how much Spanish music you play. I think it's great. I need to do more of that. I'm currently
Mhm.
taking this time to try to get into different um, composers and different genres of music that I
Oh,
don't usually
nice.
play. But before we get into all of that,
Okay.
let's talk about how you discovered the guitar. Where did you grow up?
Mm.
How did music play an important role in your life?
So I discovered guitar pretty late in my life. So I don't know if you want to hear that now or later. Like, should I go like
Just
chronologically
you tell me
or
whatever you want. I want to know where you found my favorite instrument, which is the classical guitar.
okay.
So whatever that means to you.
Well, so I didn't even know about classical guitar. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing until I was 20.
Oh, really?
So I was really late. Yeah.
And so were you already through halfway through college at that point?
Yeah, I was going to a community college in the Chicago suburbs called Harper College.
Hmm.
And so actually, like, I hated school. I hated school. So I thought that after I graduated from high school, that I was not gonna go to like I definitely didn't want to go to college, you know. So I didn't take school seriously. um, which is interesting because I did get a 4.0 GPA during my senior year in high school.
Why are guitarists such bad students when it's not guitar related? Because
I
like
I have no
everybody I
idea.
talk to is like, Hannah was like, I didn't do well in school. There's so many people I went to school with that didn't do
Yeah.
well.
I
Unless it was studio
don't
class. What
know.
is that about guitarists?
I have no idea. But I actually I always knew that I wanted to go into music. Like I discovered a love for music when I was 8 years old.
Hmm.
So it was really clear to me that that's what I wanted to do. I actually wanted to be a singer.
Okay.
So
What music did you discover at 8 that really
when I
made
was 8, I discovered Mariah Carey. And I was like, wow, she's amazing. I want to be just like her.
yeah.
Yeah.
She is amazing.
Uh-huh.
I love
Yeah.
pop. I love pop music.
Hmm.
I think Mariah Carey's was at one point really incredible.
Hmm. So the song that I discovered was Hero. Do you know that one?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So I had to sing that. I think I was so 8. So third grade, maybe fourth
Yeah, I
grade,
don't know.
something
Yeah,
like that.
something like that. Something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. We had to like sing that in the music assembly that we had. So
So,
our music teacher made us memorize the words, and I was like, "Wow, this song is amazing!"
oh, so you didn't find Mariah Carey outside of school. Your
Right.
music teacher introduced you to Mariah Carey.
She introduced it to me, but then
Wow.
after that, I bought the album,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Wow, this is so cool."
That's a later Mariah Carey album, is I believe.
um, well,
Which one is that?
I don't know. I'm pretty bad with album titles,
I'm gonna find it right now.
so
That a hero comes
It's not
along.
Daybreaker.
Music
No.
Box,
Music Box.
93. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought this came much later.
Mm,
Yeah, okay. I Daydream was the one I was thinking of, or Butterfly.
Daydream. That's a really good record.
She went downhill fast.
She did, yeah.
Did you see did you see that what was it, the New Year's Eve one or something when it was like really out of tune? It's terrible.
I
They
didn't see
isolated the
that one.
vocal track. It's a nightmare.
Oh, that's too bad.
So you wanted to be a singer,
Uh-huh.
and so what did you do? Were you a
Mm.
part of chorus? Did you end up pursuing that voice lessons?
I so I was always terrified of taking lessons. Like any sort of
Why?
lessons. Like I don't know.
Sorry to be
I
laughing
just
at you.
thought that like I know it's really silly, but I was always really shy and I didn't have confidence in
Hmm.
myself. So I was always afraid that people were gonna judge me that I couldn't do something, even though that like the whole point of taking lessons or classes is to learn something that you are not familiar with.
Hmm.
But I was just like so worried about people judging me that I couldn't do something, you
Yeah.
know?
No,
So,
absolutely, absolutely.
hmm so yeah, I
So
didn't take any lessons, but I would like just always practice singing at home. hmm
there's something really special about singing that I think, um, now as a guitarist, as an instrumentalist, you're glad that you had whatever kind of training that was. But at the time, singing is like it could just be so much fun, right? And you don't have
hmm
to dive deep into it in order to for it to be a gratifying experience. Whereas something like the
Right.
classical guitar, right away, it's frustrating if you can't get a good sound.
hmm
But so let's talk about so you discovered guitar, classical guitar when you were in community college. By the
Yeah.
by the way, I went to community college too. The degree is right up there.
Yes.
Community college buddies. So what?
uh-huh.
How did
How did I discover that?
classical guitar? Yeah,
Okay, so I might have to like take a few steps back
do it.
to get there. So when I was 15, okay, so we already talked about how I loved singing
Yeah.
and I wanted to be a singer. When I was 15, I was in a band. My friends started this band and they were looking for a singer who could sing in English. And
What was the
I
name
was
of the
in
band?
Japan. I was in Japan at the time. What
What?
was the name of the band?
Yeah, we're gonna look it up. No, I'm
You
just kidding. I'm
know,
kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't
I'm
even
messing with you.
remember what we were called. Oh, that's really bad. Oh, I think we were called, no, I had a few bands, so I
Okay.
don't remember my
So,
first band.
so they wanted you to sing in English, and you were like,
Yeah, because
"Listen,"
I was living in Japan at the time.
you're like, "I can sing Mariah Carey."
I can sing my because actually I think I have to explain to you that I was born in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but when I was 6 years old, my dad brought the whole family to Chicago because of his job, and so we had to be here in the States for 6 years. Okay,
Okay.
so when I was 12 years old, we went back to Japan. hmm And so when I was 15, I was living in Japan, and my friends they were looking for a singer. Okay, so I was like, sure, I'll sing in your band. And they wanted me to sing Green Day.
Nice.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so you did
So
it.
I did it. I did it. It wasn't, my style, but
Yeah.
it was fun. Uh-huh.
Did you guys just practice in the garage or
Um, at my friend's house. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so and so that
So
led you to discuss. Well, keep going. I
so
didn't mean to
so
cut you off.
so then they wanted me to do like an opening set by myself, and they're like, oh, you should learn the guitar. And I was like, yeah, right, because like I always thought that I sucked at instruments. I tried learning piano when I was 6, and I hated it so much that
Mm.
I ended up quitting after like a month or two. And then when I was in 5th grade, I tried to play violin at school, and I was in the orchestra and everything, but my teacher kind of discouraged me because I was writing in like every single note, like the
Yeah,
note
yeah,
name,
yeah.
and she's like, you know, you're never gonna be able to play if you keep doing that. And then like I was like, well, maybe I should just quit that.
That was a different music teacher than the music teacher who,
Yeah,
yeah, we
like she
can
was cool,
tell.
but yeah.
We can tell.
Yeah, so that didn't last very long. So anyway, when my friend said that I should try guitar, I was like, yeah, that there's no way it's gonna happen.
Hmm.
But I did it, and I learned a pretty challenging song. I mean, I was just strumming the chords and stuff. Okay, but I was able to play a song, learn all the chords in 1 week.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that was a quite an accomplishment, I think.
What was it about the guitar? I mean, you know, you might not remember, but what was it about the guitar that seemed to hook you in to get a song in a week, right? Where it seems like maybe those other instruments um, didn't quite have that.
Well, I like a nice challenge,
Mhm.
and I was really surprised because well, when you see, like when you watch TV or anything, like everywhere you look, basically like a lot of people play guitar, right?
Yeah,
And they make it look so easy, right?
it
And
is.
I was so
It's really
surprised.
easy. Classical guitar is so easy.
So easy, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. um I just couldn't believe how hard it was.
Yeah.
Like even the C chord, like, you know, uh yeah, and I had like blisters all over my fingers, and
Yeah.
um yeah, but I liked to be challenged, so I wanted to I don't know, I just got like consumed,
Yeah.
and
You know, the thing too about, I'm not sure if this applies to classical guitar, but definitely pop guitar.
mhm,
And definitely if you're trying to figure out a song with chords, once you learn the basic rules, you kind of have to do it yourself. You know, like
mhm,
if you're explaining to a student how to play a C chord and how to not get all the notes to buzz, okay, well, you can explain it to them, but
mhm,
at some point they have to figure out what that's going to feel like to apply the right amount of pressure, not over
mhm,
squeeze, right? Or for the C chord, if you're talking about not buzzing the open G string, you know, you can, yeah, explain to them, oh, well, if your fingers are arched, you won't buzz it, but they have to be the ones to figure out how to actually do that. So the
right,
guitar, that steel string guitar or the pop guitar, the way that we come at it like that, I feel like that's very conducive to you find a challenge and then you just go for it, which sounds like is what you did.
mhm. Yeah, exactly. Like I was just so surprised. Like, well, each chord might not be so bad,
Hmm.
right? But like changing from one, going from one to like the next, you know, and the F chord. Oh my gosh.
Still.
Yeah.
So how did that get to classical?
So how did I get to classical? Okay, so well, so I was self-taught, and you know, just was playing around with chords. I did some singer-songwriting, and I really liked the guitar. Okay, um, and when I was 20, I was going to school, just getting the basic degree that you could get, because I realized, well, maybe I'm not ready to go out in the real world right now, so I should probably go to college. um, and
Smart.
Yeah, so that's what I did. um, and around that time, my mom actually started classical guitar.
Oh.
Yeah, my mom was playing when she was in high school. So she had some like basic knowledge of classical guitar, but like she was older, and you know, she thought like she needed to pick up a hobby or something,
Hmm.
I guess. And so she started classical guitar, and I would hear her practicing, and I was like, I did it like, because you know, when you practice, you're not actually making music,
Right.
you know. So I would just like hear her like messing around with like a measure or two of
Hmm.
notes, and I was like, that sounds interesting. um, and my mom had some concerts at.
Oh.
So she was actually taking classical guitar at the community college that I was going to.
Okay. Who
Yeah.
who was the teacher? That this is in
Uh,
Chicago?
yeah. So my teacher, Steve Vasquez, which was also her teacher.
Hmm.
Yeah. So she was playing some concerts at school, and she invited me to go to her concert. So I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And
Yeah.
then, so that was my first time going to see classical guitar. And I was sold. Like, I was like,
Wow.
this is amazing. You know, and these are like students that are not that great playing, right?
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe how beautiful it was. And my mom was like playing that music, and I had
Yeah.
no idea that's what she was practicing, you know?
That's so cool that she reconnected with something and then immediately you saw what it was that she loved about it. What do you remember what she played?
Yeah, she played Adelita
Hmm.
and Lagrima, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
So at that point you're at community college and then
Uh-huh.
you go, I gotta go do this now.
Well, actually, no, I didn't think that I would actually take lessons because I was still scared. Because, you know, even like when I was playing acoustic guitar, I didn't want to take lessons because I was terrified of what the teacher would think. So I didn't even think that I would take lessons at that point. But my mom like encouraged me to do it. She was like, why don't you try it and you might like it, you know? And she was telling me how awesome Steve Vasquez was, her teacher. And I was like, okay. So, so I tried it. I took class guitar at the college,
Okay.
and I realized that I was actually pretty good at it already because I knew like the fundamentals and the chords and all that. Uh, so yeah, I was less intimidated when I learned that I could actually play pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, it's some of that knowledge definitely transfers over, especially the self-taught stuff because
Hmm.
you had to figure it out.
Right.
Especially with the chords, you know, for somebody coming in, and I'm sure you know this with your own students, somebody coming into classical guitar for the first time and having never played a guitar before, there's so much like, yeah, maybe the first lesson we just talk about rest stroke
Hmm.
or holding the guitar, but like, you know, having at that point a bunch of chords and being able to play songs and being able to sing and like knowing kind of how music works, even if you were never formally taught, that's a strength.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. I think it definitely helped that I was already like invested in music,
Yeah.
even though I had no idea what classical guitar was all about.
Yeah.
Actually, like I didn't even listen to classical music growing up, so I think, you know, that's the coolest thing about classical guitar is that it's so accessible, you know, like
I think in many
because
ways it is. Yeah.
yeah, classical guitar doesn't even sound like classical music, right? Like it's so
Yeah.
cool.
It's a
Yeah,
misnomer.
yeah.
Definitely. But then
Hmm.
so we'll talk about this later, but because sometimes I feel like classical guitar is like it's held back by its name.
Mhm.
It's kind of
Mhm.
restrained by its name because you're
Mhm.
right. Very rarely are we playing classical era music,
Right.
and but it has such the stigma or maybe this idea that it's going to be this really calm, boring music when very rarely is it that, and if
Mhm.
it can be calm sometimes, but if it's boring,
Mhm.
it's usually a bad player.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
so what happened after that?
After that, I started in class guitar that my teacher was running, and he asked me if I wanted to switch or go continue and yeah, take some private lessons with him. And I was like, that sounds cool. So I did that. And I really liked it. I really, because classical, so class guitar, the guitar class, was not actually about classical guitar. It was just
Right,
like learning about the guitar, right?
right.
And so when I switched to private guitar lessons, then that's when we actually started getting into classical guitar. Hmm. So I really liked playing classical guitar. So I was like, maybe I can audition to be a classical guitar major. Like, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
So I did that. I practiced really hard and I auditioned and I got in because there I feel like everybody got in, like as long as you tried, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you do that?
At the same college,
Okay.
the community college. Yeah. Hmm. So I actually got 2 degrees from that college
Oh.
because I went to school for like the basic associate's degree,
Hmm.
and then I reapplied to do the music degree. So
That's really cool that your community
mhm.
college had was it like an associates in
It
like
was associates in music or
okay.
arts. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Well, that's
Hmm.
really cool. Mine
Yeah.
didn't have that. Mine had one guitar teacher.
Hmm.
He was a jazz guitar teacher. He was a good player, but he was kind of a weirdo.
Mm.
Him and his mom were both teachers there, and they were just weird together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some jazz people are weird.
Yeah. Some classical people are just as
Yeah,
weird.
that's true.
so,
Yeah.
so you studied guitar there, and then
I
so
studied guitar.
what
Mhm.
were those what were those requirements like for an associate's in music?
Mm. It was like really easy. Like what do you mean, like requirements to get in, or like
Well, no,
requirements
I guess
to get
like
the degree?
to get the degree, right? So
Get.
like,
Mhm.
yeah, what was that? Because, you
Yeah.
know, I did a little bit of music studying when I was getting my associates, but like the heavy stuff didn't come until my like second year of my bachelor's. So I guess
Mm.
the question that I'm asking is that like, what what kind of requirements were of that music department once
Yeah.
you were a part of it?
It was actually not that bad. So I had to do 4 semesters of theory,
Mm-hmm.
4 semesters of oral skills,
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, 4 semesters of piano, um, and obviously 4 semesters of guitar, private guitar lessons, and
Wow.
then guitar ensemble.
Did
Hmm.
you have a did you have like a senior recital?
We didn't have to do a recital. Hmm. So, but the associate's degree is only 2 year. It's only a 2 year degree, right?
Right,
So,
right.
I like because I had started so late in my life. Like after 2 years, I didn't really learn. I mean, I learned so much from Steve, and he is an amazing guitarist and teacher. And I would not be where I am today if it weren't for him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I actually like wanted to continue studying with him. However, like, because it's only a 2-year degree, like I had to move on, right?
Yeah. And so
So,
where did you move on to?
and then I went to Northeastern Illinois University.
Mm-hmm.
I studied with Brian Tarosian there. And when I was going to school there, they had different requirements than now. So they didn't even require a junior recital. So I only did one recital, a senior recital. And
Lucky.
that was my first ever like full recital, and I was freaking out. hmm
Do you remember what you played on it?
I played the the whole box suite 1006A,
Oh, okay.
which is, it's crazy to think about because I mean, okay, like you have to understand that I was such a beginner at classical guitar, and then like I had to learn a whole box suite. That's insane. Okay, like
Yeah.
yeah. Like I didn't even have the skills to play Bach,
Right.
but that was a requirement. You know,
Right.
I
Right.
had to play a Bach suite. So I did that. I played Giuliani Grand Sonata Eroica.
Wow. Okay.
Uh, that was the first half of the program. And then the second half, I remember playing like Julia Florida, some Lara waltzes.
You're like, the hard stuff's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna play Spanish Romance
Yeah,
3 times.
exactly.
I'm taking all the repeats.
Yeah, exactly.
Who was the name of the instructor at the guitar teacher at Northeastern?
Brian Tarosian.
I don't think I know that name. But my question was, what was
Uh-huh.
his, one of the things that I like to see is like from, you know, before, like when I'm interviewing people, I like to see before college, through college, after college, how the level of instruction changes.
Mm.
So, um, how did your approach to the guitar change as you got to an undergraduate degree, and how did your instructor help facilitate that change?
So I feel like, so with my first teacher, Steve, he was amazing at like musicality, like interpreting the music, and
Mm-hmm.
just like being really like passionate about like how you present it, right? Like he was really good at that stuff. Um, and then, but he didn't really teach me like precise technique,
Okay.
just like
Yeah.
the basic technique, right?
Sure.
And then I feel like with Brian Tarosian, we didn't do any like musicality stuff at all. Maybe because I already had it, I'm not sure, but we focused more on like technique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sometimes they see, like you get a student and,
Mm-hmm.
um, I would say this is probably the same for us too. We get a student and you have to think what the end game goal is, right? Like what does the student need right now? It might be a whole
Mm-hmm.
bunch of things, but what are the top 5 things that I need to give them for the amount of time that I have them for, right? And
Mm-hmm.
in the college undergrad, right? I'm going to have this person for 3 to 5 years. What do they need to be able to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's, yeah, very true. But also, I feel like each teacher brings different things to the table,
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, Brian is like a total shredder.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he even like plays metal. So
Oh,
like
wow.
he really shreds.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So I think that's like more of his style, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What was the rest of the music department there in your undergrad? I mean, was it very strong in other areas? I speak because mine, when I did my undergrad, it was a very good education school.
Mm-hmm.
And other than a couple of teachers, including my guitar teacher, the instruction was okay.
Mm-hmm.
There were definitely
I
some
see.
highlights, but it wasn't a performance school. It wasn't until I got to the conservatory in my master's that everybody was a top-notch musician. So
Mm,
what was it like? What
I
was the whole
see.
music department like? Instructor wise, at your school.
Well, it's interesting because I got the associate's degree in music before transferring, like I didn't really do any music stuff other than guitar at Northeastern.
You got to get out of those classes,
Yeah, because I already had all the requirements
and you didn't
taken
play a
care
junior
of.
recital.
Right.
Oh my goodness! Like a walk
I wish
through the.
I did.
So when you said it was
I
easy,
wish I
you like
did.
walked through the
Yeah.
bachelor's degree.
I
Well,
guess
you had to
so.
you had to play the 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 violin partita, right?
Yeah,
No, no, 1006. I'm sorry.
I had to do that. Yeah. Yeah, that is the
Yeah,
violin.
yeah,
Yeah. That was the hardest thing. Yeah.
yeah. So, so what did you leaving? It sounds like there was so many wonderful things that you learned.
hmm
Um, what was it like when you left? When you finished your bachelor's?
Oh my gosh.
What?
When
Yeah.
I when I finished my bachelor's, okay, my last semester there, I think I did, instead of doing 4 semesters, I think I did 5 semesters. I'm pretty sure because I graduated. No, maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember. I'm sorry, but regardless, it doesn't matter. But the last semester I was there, I only had to do, because I had finished all my classes.
Hmm.
I only had to do guitar ensemble and private guitar lessons to graduate, and then my senior recital. So I remember like practicing at least 6 hours every single day that whole semester, like every single day, and sometimes even 8 hours. And I was just like going crazy because I had to finish the box suite,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So like after I did my senior recital, I thought, wow, I never want to practice ever again.
Yeah. Did you choose that particular suite?
I did. I asked my teacher like what he recommended
Yeah.
because I didn't, like, I was not into Bach.
Yeah.
Like now I am. I love Bach, but like I didn't know anything, and I was just like listening to recordings, and I was like, oh, this is cool.
This one's pretty.
I can do that. Yeah, but I think I was wrong.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, you were.
Yeah, yeah, I was totally wrong.
That that that
I don't even know if I can play it now.
that
That's how hard
score
it is.
that score is waiting for me in many years. I'm taking a little break from Bach right now, but I'm sort of
hmm
I'm nibbling at the chaconne, but
Yeah,
I just
wow.
yeah. Well, because I did in
Awesome.
undergrad, I did the first violin sonata.
hmm
I skipped the cello suite. I didn't want to do the cello suite. I played the first violin sonata, and then for my master's, I did the Prelude Fugue Allegro. And I mean, really, because I spent maybe 2 years on the violin sonata, and I spent three
hmm
years on the PFA,
Wow.
really learning it, and I mean, like I not playing it perfectly for 3 years, but like learning it, taking a semester, 2 semesters to learn it, and then a year and a half, 2 years
hmm
to really perfect it. Um, and right now I'm a little like burnt out on that kind of stuff. So
hmm
I'm looking at the chaconne, but it's not like I'm not going as hard as I was in the past.
I see. Yeah.
So when you left undergrad,
I was burnt out.
yeah, you were
hmm
burnt out.
I was totally burnt out.
Yeah.
hmm
If you could have done something differently without trying to criticize any of your instruction, what do you wish would have been different? Was it just that one piece of music, or was it kind of managing your time?
I think it's just that I I didn't have enough time. Uh because I started so late in my life and there were all these requirements I had to knock down,
Hmm.
um, there's just like not enough time, right? Like imagine a person who's only played classical guitar for like 5 years, you know, playing the whole entire box suite. I don't know, it's kind of crazy to me, but that was the requirement. So, um, you know,
When did you start teaching lessons?
I started teaching lessons immediately after graduating. Um, so in 2012, yeah, 2012, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And was it like at a music store or something like that?
It was not a music store, but it was a place. It was an art center. And I still teach there. It was called David Adler Music and Art Center, and
Hmm.
now it's called the Adler Art Center. Mm-hmm.
What was that like going from, such a high pressure situation where, you got to practice all the time and
Mm-hmm.
then to now go and try to give the best education to people who aren't doing what you were doing? Was that a difficult transition for you?
Um, it was a little bit frustrating, to be honest. So when I first started teaching, so when I got the job as guitar teacher, I was like, wow, this is amazing. It was really easy to get this job, and like, it's gonna be awesome. Like, I'm gonna be making money, and you know, but
And people are
little
going to
did I know,
practice.
little did I know that you actually had to build up a studio in order to get students,
Right.
and if you don't have students, you don't get paid. Like,
Right.
I didn't know that going in. So it took me like 3 years to build up a studio of like 40 to 50 students.
Yeah.
It was really hard. Mm-hmm.
Did you have any it wasn't until my master's that I got any formal education in teaching lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get any guitar ped? Yeah, you have to figure out how to do it on your own, and
Yeah, you do.
when the paycheck is hanging on it, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it definitely took me probably the same amount of time, probably 2 or 3 years to get really in a place where I knew what I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
and the establishments trusted me enough to give me 40, 50 students. I think I
Mm-hmm.
maxed out at 40. I don't think I ever got up to 50. I did Monday through Friday at a music store
Mm-hmm.
from 3 to 9, and
Okay.
I got to 40.
Yeah, that was
It's
like my
hard.
schedule. It's so draining.
It's
They
unbelievable.
suck the life out of you.
Did your did your desire to play classical guitar, well,
Come
what
back?
happened? Yeah, because it
Mm-hmm.
you described a situation where you
Mm-hmm.
were overworked, and that ends, right? Because when
Mm-hmm.
school ends, it just stops, right?
It
And
does.
it's almost like like the coyote running on the out off the cliff and then looking down, and then everything
Mm-hmm.
stops, and when he hits the ground, you don't have to ever touch guitar again. But
Right.
there's
Yeah.
something inside of you that wanted to pick it up again and keep going. How did that inspiration come back to you?
I'm not sure how that came back to me, but I definitely took like a year off of practicing.
Yeah.
Maybe even 2 years. Uh-huh. Um, and then after that, I was like, what am I doing with my life? I love classical guitar. I need to practice.
Yeah.
So I started practicing. Um, and then I set up some concerts for myself so that I could practice,
Yeah.
practice more. And yeah, and then at some point, my love came back. Like, it was like, I was, I don't, why? I'm not sure why. Maybe it was because I went to some guitar festivals and that
Mm.
inspired me. Hmm.
What kind of festivals did you go to?
So I went to a guitar festival in Germany.
Oh wow. Which
Yeah.
one?
Nürtingen
Okay.
and Iserlohn.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a
Those are,
friend.
oh,
The only reason I know about a couple of them is oh, hi, Kitty.
she wants to join.
Oh, wow. She looks so happy.
She's a very happy cat.
I have a friend who lives near Koblenz, and they have a guitar festival out there yearly.
Oh, Koblenz.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's a famous one.
yeah. So your
Hmm.
inspiration starts coming back. You book concerts. You went to
Yeah.
festivals, and
Festivals. Hmm.
so what kind of stuff were you practicing? What kind of stuff were you finding yourself playing?
You know what? I at the festivals I was mainly excited for like playing in the guitar ensembles because I don't know, I feel like a lot of people hate guitar ensembles, but like I was really into them
Like the
at the
big
time.
ones, like the big
Yeah.
ones with like 50 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was really into it. I don't know. Yeah. It was a phase of my life.
I've had some really cool experiences doing it and some really scary ones too.
Really?
Yeah, well, not like I was frightened for my
It
life, but I was
was,
frightened for my sanity.
oh my gosh. I don't know. It was really cool because this festival, the Nurtingen one,
Hmm.
um it was with Los Angeles Guitar Quartet,
Hmm.
who are like my heroes.
Sure.
And so like I wanted to play with them, so that was very inspiring.
What? How did you get over to Germany? Because you were living in America at the time, because right, because
Yeah.
you finished your
Yeah.
degree, and then you
I
said I'm going to go to Germany.
Well, because this festival was basically the selling point of this festival was that you get to play in the guitar ensemble with Los Angeles Guitar Quartet.
Hmm.
And then there were so many amazing guitarists at that festival too. Like you could
Sure.
take a lot of master classes with many of those people. Like I took a lesson with Irina Kulikova.
Hmm.
Um, David Russell was one of them, but I didn't get to take a lesson with him. Um, I think Paul Odette was there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it was a really cool festival.
Isn't that crazy when you go to Europe and
Hmm.
they just live the kind of life musically that we wish we could here?
Hmm.
I feel like you and I are on the same page. We're like, you go to Europe and
Hmm.
they eat, breathe, and sleep that kind
Hmm.
of culture of respecting that music and being into it, and all of those people travel all around Europe and do these festivals, and then you come back
Yeah,
to America and you have to like seek out the communities to go.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly why I went to Europe. Because at the time, like this was around 2014.
Hmm.
At the time, like now there's a lot going on here, I feel like. But at the time, there wasn't that many festivals around, and you would find all these cool ones in Europe. And so I was like, well, maybe I should just go to Germany and do this festival.
Maybe I
Why
should
not?
just pop on a plane and go to
Yeah,
Germany. Why not?
exactly. Exactly.
No, I think that's awesome. I think that's really cool. I always wanted to go to what is it? The North American music merchants or whatever it is.
Hmm.
The it's more for like electric guitarists and pop music and jazz. It's the NAMM festival merchant thing out in Anaheim.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I always wanted to
Na-
do that. Yeah,
Nam
yeah.
or Nam, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's I'm not good with acronyms. So,
It sounds like chaos, or it
well,
looks
I've always
very
wanted to do
chaotic.
things like that, right? And then
Yeah.
this year I was planning on going to the GFA. I was going to try to make
Mhm.
GFA work, and so
Oh.
it's done, right? They're not going to do it this year. They canceled.
Just online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares?
So you can still go there.
I guess.
Yeah. Virtually.
no. The point is that I want to meet people.
Yeah.
But yeah, festivals are really cool. So I'm in Connecticut,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to, let's see, I've been to a couple of them in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And Boston is great because NEC is there, and so all of Jerome Moof and Elliot Fisk's students are there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I did a couple things in New York. I don't remember offhand, but the point is
I
the
went to the Heart School.
when.
Um, when was this? Like 2006?
Oh wow, that's before I was there, I guess.
Yeah.
I did my master's there. Who do you was there a special guest or was it just the fact?
It was Bill Cannengeiser.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. I wasn't
Yeah.
there for that.
Okay.
But festivals are just such an incredible place to go to get inspiration and to just hear other people's thoughts, and
Mm-hmm.
it's, you know, even if you don't participate, because the last one I went to was, I think it was Andy York or maybe it was Scott. No, it was Scott Tennant,
Mm.
and I didn't participate in that one. Although I did a festival with him years ago, and just watching the classes, right? You're like, these people
Mm-hmm.
are geniuses.
Yeah.
So what did you do after your bachelor's, studying wise?
Studying wise, so I took a break, from studying because I always wanted to get my master's in guitar, but like first of all, like financially, like
Sure.
I couldn't afford it. And then I was also burnt out, so I wasn't ready to apply. So I just started teaching, and I liked teaching. So I just did that for a while. And then at one point, like when I started getting a lot of students, when I was like at the maximum capacity, when I had like 50 students, um, I was just so burnt out. It was very draining. And I would start daydreaming about like studying guitar, like practicing. And like, you know, I thought, well, maybe this is a calling. Like I have to
Yeah.
get back to school. So I discovered this amazing program in Spain. So I was like, that would be really cool if I could like study abroad for six
So
months.
what was that? So what university was that through?
This was from the University of Alicante.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So how did describe that process? Because let me get a little closer to the mic here. You got to do some pretty incredible things through that.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that process like of discovering it and auditioning and doing all that stuff?
So the really cool thing is that the reason I found out about this program is because I met a girl when I went to the festival in Germany. So if I didn't go there, I probably would have never heard about this program. Um, and so that was always in the back of my head, like, oh, that
Mhm.
sounds amazing. Like I want to study in Spain. That would be wonderful. And it's only 6 months. I can just like, get away for a little bit and
I like how nonchalant you are about traveling. You're like, I'm just going to go to Germany. Then I'm going to go to Spain. Why not? It's only 6 months.
yeah,
Basically a vacation, a
it's a
small
piece of
vacation
cake,
for me.
right? It's easy. Um, but yeah, I was always thinking about that program. And then when I was starting to get drained from teaching and started daydreaming about practicing, I thought, well, maybe this is a good opportunity. So I looked into it, and I did the application process was pretty easy. It was a little bit stressful getting the visa.
Mhm.
Hmm. But other than that, it was pretty smooth sailing.
And who were the instructors there, or did you not know that ahead of time?
So we already knew the teachers there.
Hmm.
So this program is really interesting because they call it well, master's in performance, but it's
Mm.
not really a master's. Like it's like a performance certificate, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
artist diploma, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because you just basically the whole point is to develop yourself as a performer.
Mm-hmm.
So um, we would get 1 week with each professor, uh, like David Russell and okay. So who was in my teachers were David Russell, Fabio Zanon,
Mm-hmm.
both the Assad brothers, um,
Those guys are
Manuel Barrick.
monsters.
Yeah,
They're so good.
they're my heroes.
Manuel.
Manuel, Barreco, Pepe Romero, and Ignacio Rodes is the teacher that started the program in
Mm-hmm.
Spain. So he is there too. Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
It was amazing.
What was it like? Um, was that your first time to Spain?
Yeah, it was my first time.
And what was that like culture wise?
Oh, I love it there. It's people are so laid back,
Yeah.
and like I totally respect the lifestyle that they have. It really is me. I feel like
Yeah.
um yeah, I like that they have siestas.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Their dinner time is like 10 p.m. and everything is open until like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Wow.
That's totally me. Like I'm such a night owl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
What what so I mean that sounds like an amazing experience. Um so was that your the whole program was just that 6 months?
Yeah, it was 6 months. Hmm.
Okay, so I see what you're saying about it's more of an artist diploma than a
Hmm.
full master's degree
Exactly.
where you have more academic work, where this is more just about your performance.
Right.
What
Hmm.
I mean, God, there's a universe of education in each of those teachers. I mean, you could spend your whole life studying the Assad brothers or studying Manuel Barrueco
Hmm.
and be good, right? But
Hmm.
what would you say were like some of the key things that changed you as a guitarist, as a player? Like, what did so and so bring to the table that you had to do, and that
Hmm.
made you a better person, a better player? Can you talk about that?
Well, so with each teacher, we would it was totally a unique course because we would instead of getting a private lesson, we would be in a masterclass setting. So we would get to play 2 times
Hmm.
only in that 1 week. And then we would watch everybody else get taught, right? Um, so it was like 5 hours every day of master classes
Wow.
with that one teacher. And they would cover like a specific era or genre.
Oh, okay.
So with David Russell, we learned about 19th century repertoire. Um, and then the Assads taught, for example, they did South American rap.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. And then with Fabio Zanon, it was a course in transcriptions. That was pretty helpful because I've never had transcribed anything in my life. So yeah. And at the end of the course, we had to present a thesis.
Hmm.
And the thesis was about your transcription project. So
What kind of stuff were you playing in those master classes?
um, with David, I played Grand Sonata Eroica, Giuliani. Um, I did with Ignacio Rodes. I did Spanish rep, which was really helpful because prior to going to Spain, I didn't play any Spanish rep. But yeah, it just, I think I played, the only thing I played was maybe Lagrima,
Mm-hmm.
Tarega. And
Mm-hmm.
then I also played Turina.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Which one?
I played Rafaga.
Okay.
Do you know that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
cool. So, yeah. I mean, what was that? So the things that you learned in that program with those
Mhm.
people must be things that you still think about now. Those must have been such huge lessons that I mean, I haven't met Manuel Barrico yet.
Mhm.
I hope to have a lesson, a master class with him someday if I'm
Mhm.
lucky enough. But I would imagine, you know, just the videos I've seen and the way he teaches, like those ideas must last throughout whatever you're playing.
Mhm. Yeah. I don't know if it's like a particular idea that I think about, but I definitely think the experience, like the whole experience, has changed who I am as a
Yeah.
performer. Hmm.
Can you be more specific about that? How has it changed you?
Um, like I don't know, maybe like the approaches. Hmm. I feel like what I learned the most, really, honestly, is just their showmanship
Mm,
and like I like it's more than just guitar is what I learned from them. Um, like how you treat people with respect. I mean, like those are like huge superstars, and they're like the
right.
most humble people in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
You get a lot from just talking to them and understanding who they are, and
exactly.
you're right
Hmm.
how to approach all that stuff.
Hmm. Yeah.
So where is this in your evolution? Because you're posting pictures of that of yourself in Spain all the time. So was that a long time ago? Was that
Yeah. This
how?
was I did the program in 2017.
Okay,
Hmm.
and that was your last formal education, or did you go on after
Yes,
that? Okay,
that was the
and
last thing. Hmm.
so do you still go back to any of your other instructors for lessons in between, or
I don't honestly because I can't afford it.
you're in Chicago normally, right? Isn't that where
Yeah.
who's in Chicago? Dennis has a
Dennis has a
baggage.
baggage. Yep.
He's nasty. He's so good.
He is so amazing, but I can't. I don't have the money to take lessons from him, unfortunately.
I met
So.
him. Oh my God, this is going to be such in such poor taste to tell this story. Not about him. He was great. Well, I went up to a festival once. I won't name the festival, but
Hmm.
he was doing a master class,
Okay.
and there was this dude there, and I don't remember what he was playing. Maybe one of the Laro waltzes or something. And the dude was just like the student. The student was just like literally like this. And Dennis goes, "Okay, stop." And he goes, "No." He let him play the piece, and they clap. And
Wow.
he goes, "Okay, so before we can do anything, we have to make a good sound." And the guy's like, "Yeah, okay." And he's like, "So we're gonna practice rest strokes." And they practice rest strokes for like an hour. And I was just so mad.
Wow.
I was so mad that that punk got to play for such a legend.
Oh my
But it was a
God.
really good. It was a
That's
really good master class. And then he did a performance with his wife the next day. Uh, and they did some really cool stuff. They did
do,
the
do
Sephardic.
they do the history of tango?
They didn't do the history of the tango. They did. Um, so this was a festival that Clarice Assad was at, and so she had written them a piece that was on it. Maybe it was the Sephardic journey, but
Mm,
I think he's a Sephardic Jew, and so they did a whole album about this piece about the migration of the Sephardic Jewish people, and it was a really really cool piece. I think it was either that one that she wrote, or she wrote something on that album. But so they didn't do the history of the tango. They did pieces of that, and then
mhm.
they also did this really weird, like you kind of love it or hate it. It's like this abridged version of the Swar Mozart variation for flute and guitar, and like
Interesting.
a lot of it's like you're like really, and then a lot of it was just really cool too. And they're both such
Interesting.
killer
Hmm.
players.
Wow, that sounds cool.
Did you ever get to see him play in Chicago?
Yeah, I've seen him play a few times, not that many times though, honestly. But yeah, I saw him play as the duo with his
Hmm.
wife, and then I saw him play Aaron Juarez.
Mm.
Mm.
Was it amazing?
It was amazing. It was so good. Yeah, I was blown away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you so you're teaching now, you're gigging,
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to get out there, other than the quarantine and the whole state of the entire universe right now.
Mm-hmm.
What are your next set of goals?
Oh man, that's a good question.
Well, so
What
let's
are my goals?
yeah, so let's back it up because I got to that
Uh-huh.
prematurely. I'm looking at my
Okay,
list and I skipped a
sure.
little bit.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about how Instagram has played into all of this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no doubt that you have a handful of people that think you're pretty neat online,
Mm-hmm.
and
Just a
is
small handful, you
just
know.
a small handful, and and so what is that like? Because that
Hmm.
definitely that must be. Well, I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, so when I first started Instagram, it was really amazing. I just got so hooked into it because at that time, I was like sort of getting a little bit sad about my about being a classical guitarist like that. I just felt like nobody really appreciated the fact that I was a guitarist. And like my students, like I would tell them, oh, I have a show coming up or something, and like they didn't seem to care about my
Lame.
music. Yeah. And like I'm like thinking, well, I'm actually before I'm a teacher, I'm a classical guitarist. And my teacher or my students only saw me as a teacher, right? They didn't see me as a classical guitarist. But when I went to Instagram and I started posting all these videos, like I was surprised with the feedback I was getting. Um, that like I realized that a lot of people actually do like my music, which is surprising. I was so shocked. But yeah, it was really encouraging. And then like meeting a lot of people on there like you and Hannah and Phil and Evan. It was just like a really good place to be.
What
Mm-hmm.
do you see anything that Instagram has done for the guitar community other than bringing you people um, that enjoy? I mean, I don't mean to say that in like a patronizing way. Like people find you and
Mm-hmm.
love either the content you provide or your personality or something, and they continue to follow. But for the inside people,
Mm-hmm.
right, the people playing classical guitar, do you see Instagram has having been a catalyst of anything, or uniting people, or
Mm.
you know
It's interesting because when I first started, not many classical guitarists were on there. And I was just like so surprised by that. So like really, um, there was only a handful of people on there, like Hannah, Bill, and Evan,
hmm
and I were like the OGs.
yeah,
And then like all of a sudden now it's unbelievable how many people are on there, uh, like the big name artists
sure,
were not even on Instagram at that
no.
point. Uh-huh.
You have more followers than Scott Tennant, which means you're
Oh.
better. You're better than him.
Right, right. That's amazing. Yeah.
I feel like Instagram has really been a place for a lot of other brands and
Hmm.
uh, lifestyle.
Hmm.
I don't know quite how to put it. Like it's Instagram is definitely a place for things to grow and develop.
Right.
I just haven't. I think that it's going to be great for classical guitar. I'm just not sure what it's done for classical guitar yet. So
Mm.
like you can have people you know unite with like the 100 days of practice challenge
Hmm.
or like
Right.
the Brower challenge or this or
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
I'm curious to where it's going to go. Maybe with
Yeah.
this ex Equo thing or
Hmm.
maybe some other communities like that. I've always felt like what classical guitar lacks is that cool factor. And
The
so
cool factor.
and
Hmm.
so it would really there's no reason that it shouldn't because the if you dig into something like if you say, yeah, I'm gonna play this piece, I'm gonna play, I don't know, the Usher Waltz. Okay,
Hmm.
that sounds stupid. Like Usher like the singer and Waltz like the dance. Well, kind of. Usher Waltz is about Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the
Uh-huh.
House of Usher. And that story is this really dark story about this guy visiting this guy. And then there's like creepy things happening. And then he has to fight his way out. And the guitar has this really, because it's a really beautiful melody. And then you smack the guitar and you do these things called Bartok pizzicatos. The deeper that you go into a piece like that,
Uh-huh.
the more you can attract somebody that doesn't really care about classical guitar.
Hmm.
So have always been wondering what Instagram could be
Hmm.
to bring people in. And I
Hmm.
think
Hmm.
you, Hannah, Phil, people that have a large following are
Hmm.
probably doing that automatically. Have you had people come up to you, not come up to you, but message you online saying, you got me into classical guitar or you got to show me more?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I have a lot of people. Well, I mean, not that many, but like I do occasionally get messages from people like that, and then I feel like, okay, I'm actually doing something good.
Yeah.
You know. Uh-huh. Yeah, and I think Instagram is starting to grow. The classical guitar community has grown so much in the last, I don't know, 3 years. And you're
Definitely.
like you're starting your podcast, and I think yeah, I feel like there's a lot of potential of the growth in the community.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Mhm.
I'm gonna see. Hopefully, this goes somewhere cool. Like I was saying before. My ultimate goal is to not be confined to
Mhm.
my unfinished basement.
Oh, this is your unfinished basement.
It was finished at one point, and then
Uh-huh.
we had a washing machine malfunction.
Uh-oh.
And I don't know if you know anything about water damage, but once one little drop of
Yeah.
water gets under something, they have to rip the whole thing out. So
Oh no.
yeah, so this is my cave. But I would love to,
Mhm.
be going to places and interviewing people, in person.
Mhm.
And hopefully now that the community is growing, that can be a possibility.
Yeah.
So
Next
so
GFA, you know?
yeah, right. Maybe unless we have wave 8.
Right.
So now if we can move to what your goals are. So
Oh,
and
my goals.
and so the reason that I asked that after the Instagram thing is
Uh-huh.
you're in a position now
Right.
where you've gotten all this really wonderful education, you've gotten some really tough stuff behind you, like burning out and doing it too much. But
Mhm.
what do you see yourself doing? What's like the dream job or the dream gig or the dream performance for you? What does that look like?
Like honestly, I like where I'm at right now. So I just want to keep developing the things that I have already. Um, uh, so like I love teaching. I still want to continue that. Like and Instagram is so fun for me. So I want to continue that and hopefully see some growth. um, and YouTube, actually, I've been wanting to really get into YouTube. I've had my channel for a really long time, but I haven't really done much with it, honestly, because I don't, like, I feel like I need more time to make videos and like, you know, content. And also I have to practice, right?
Right. There's that thing.
So I think that's the hardest thing about like being a YouTuber and a musician at the same time, because okay, so like normal lifestyle YouTubers, they don't have to practice, right?
Right. Yeah.
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 But like that's something that we have to always be doing, and it takes up a lot of time.
Yeah. I don't know how those two set fellas do it.
They're amazing. Do
I've
you think they
actually I've never heard them
practice?
play. I've never heard them play. I don't know if they're good or not.
Yeah,
Probably. They're probably good.
they're probably good. Yeah.
But they
But
don't have to be. They don't
yeah,
have to be in order to do that.
I think I just need a sidekick. Maybe my cat can be my sidekick. I don't know.
I have
Yeah.
mixed feelings about that because, like, I think there's something really cool to it to be able to reach all those people, but
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like the split in me, right? Like, I want to be the best artist that I can be,
Mm-hmm.
but I also want to meet people,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so like the meeting people part of me would be the part that goes and invests time and energy into a YouTube video,
Mm-hmm.
but the artist part of me is like, I'm sure you and I both know
Right.
tons of guitarists who don't even have a YouTube account that are
Exactly.
unbelievable,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. That's always a struggle.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The conflict.
Well, we're winding down on time. I'm going to throw at you the
Okay.
lone guitarist questionnaire.
Uh-oh.
Yep, I did not prepare you for this. Um, and we're just going to see how you do. Are you ready?
I am
It's,
ready.
it's 5 questions. You can answer them as short or as long as you'd like. You can
Okay.
give me stories to them, or you can just tell me what what your r- first gut reaction is.
Okay.
Question number one. Dun, 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 dun,
Uh-oh.
dun, 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 dun. Wait, hold on.
Uh-oh. Be careful.
Question number one. What is the best gig you've ever had?
The best gig I ever had. Well, I gotta say, it was the Kansas City gig.
The gig you haven't played yet?
No, the gig I got in September.
Oh, okay.
So that was my first time playing outside of Chicago, and I felt like a rock star.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Describe the gig.
I met this guy named Daniel Craig, who is the president of the Kansas City
Do you think Daniel Craig, like James Bond?
Krieg. Krieg, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, so I met him at Cleveland Guitar Festival a couple of years back, and we were talking, and he said that he is now the president of the Kansas City Guitar Society, and he wanted to invite me to play a concert. And I was like, oh, really? Like, you want me to be in the concert series? That's crazy. But he really wanted me to play, and I was like, yeah, I can't turn that down. So
That's awesome.
that was an amazing time of my life. Yes.
So the people in the audience were mostly musicians.
No, they were, I mean, they were like kind of classical guitar enthusiasts who kind of played guitar, but not really. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, now we go to the exact opposite. What was your worst gig?
Worst gig.
You've never had any bad gigs.
No, I
Perfect.
think the worst gig might have been when I was in Alicante, and my friend okay, so we were, there was somebody looking for a classical guitarist, and I couldn't communicate because I didn't know Spanish. So
What do you mean they were looking for a classical guitarist? Like
well
they were,
the,
help, miss, help me. I need a classical guitarist, quick. Do you know recuerdos? Can you play recuerdos? I need help. My son can't breathe.
oh my gosh. Yeah, not like that.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact details, but anyways, they asked me because my friend didn't want to play, and he was basically the translator, okay, because he spoke Spanish. He was also a student at the time, but he didn't want to play or something, so he asked me to play. And then I showed up to the gig, and it was like the worst acoustics ever, okay, and it was at a party. It was some kind of gathering. I didn't really understand what it was. There was a lot of people there, and I played the one piece that they had asked me to play, and I don't even remember what it was. I played it, and everybody was talking so loud I couldn't even hear what I was playing. And then the lady who had asked me to perform was so pissed.
Why?
She was so upset that, like, I wasn't loud enough,
Wow.
So I don't know.
That
That was
sucks.
the worst. Yeah.
Question number 3. How are you so far with the the questionnaire? Is this everything
It's
you thought
good.
it was going to
Yeah.
be?
It's
The
great.
questionnaire? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it too tough? Is this too hard hitting? This is hard
No,
hitting journalism.
it's great. I think I like it.
Okay. There's a second microphone. It's not hooked up to anything. Question number 3. What's the
Uh-huh.
best piece of advice you've received, and who gave it to you?
Oh,
Mm.
well, it's interesting because I have this one piece of advice that I got from my teacher, Steve Vasquez, and David Russell also told me the same thing, which is always be ready.
Mm.
It's the most amazing advice ever.
Sure.
Because, like, if you land a gig, okay, the gig of your lifetime, or the job of your opportunity of a lifetime, right? Like, if you're not ready, you're gonna lose that gig,
Sure.
or that job, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely. It's a great piece
I
of
love
advice.
that. Yeah.
Question number 4. What not so question number 4, I'm going to give you a brief history on question number 4.
Okay.
Slot number 4 has been swapped out many times.
Okay.
I think I'm happy with where question number 4 is right now, but
Mm-hmm.
it might change. You might be one of the few who answer this question.
Okay.
Question number 4 is, what never fails to inspire you?
What never fails? Going to classical guitar concerts. And there's always something that I can learn, and it's always inspiring, no matter who it is.
What was your favorite, though?
My favorite performance?
Yeah.
I gotta say, I don't know if I can say favorite because there's so many. But
What was one really good one?
a very inspiring performance, okay, was when I got to see Pepe Romero for the first time. And like, he's pretty old. He's getting there.
Yeah, he's old.
Yeah, he's older than me. He's a lot older than
Yeah.
But
He's
he's
a grown up.
He's a grown up. And he's what, like 70? I
don't know.
Maybe
probably that sounds about right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's like 70. And like, obviously, because he is a 70-year-old man, like, his chops and technique is not gonna be the same as a 25-year-old.
76.
Yeah. Whoa, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Okay, so I saw him when he was 3 years ago. He would have been 73. Okay. But I saw this 73-year-old man, right, on stage. and obviously, like, his technique is not going to be the same as when he was in his prime, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was, what impressed me was his presence on stage. Like he
Yeah.
owned it, and he was just like so happy to be there. And like I think, I don't know if I, when I'm 76 or 73,
Hmm.
like if I would be feeling the same way.
You know what else I notice about those old guys? And I say that in the most, I say that actually when I say old guys, I think in the industry for a long time
Yeah.
rather than their age.
Hmm.
That they get older, their technique isn't whatever, but their
Hmm.
music is better than it's ever been.
Music is, yeah.
It's
Hmm.
like I've never heard, like even those old videos of Segovia when he was just uh like a cartoon character, like he was so old, and
Hmm.
like his fingers may have not been working the way that he wanted them to, but he
Hmm.
could play so well.
Yeah.
And that goes with all the guys, Oscar,
Right.
you know,
Because of the, their wisdom, and they
yeah.
have so
Yeah.
much depth in their personalities and what they've learned in life.
I like question 4. I think we're going to keep it.
Okay.
Question 5. Question 5, and the last question.
Mm-hmm.
What non-guitar activity do you
Mm.
like to do the most?
Mm. The most.
Or a non-guitar activity?
Um, that's a tricky one. I mean, I like to do a lot of things, like I love to bake.
I didn't
I
know that.
Yeah, I bake a lot. I used to bake a lot before guitar.
Baking to me is very confusing. I like doing stuff on the stovetop,
Hmm.
but as soon as I put it in the oven, it's another world. What do you like to bake?
All sorts of things. I used to work at a cake shop, so I like to make cakes. I like to bake cookies, bread, all sorts of bread.
What's what's the connection between baking and classical guitar? Go.
Oh my gosh. You need technique. You need great skills.
Do you ever watch like the Great
Oh,
British Baking Show?
follow
Go ahead.
following instructions, like in
Yeah, absolutely.
detail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You
Uh-huh.
have to, right?
Yeah.
Or else it's a disaster.
Disaster.
Do you ever watch the Great British Bake Off and shows like that?
Yeah.
Do you know that what's that lady's name? Mary
Oh,
Mary
oh
Berry.
gosh. I don't know the names.
My favorite, my favorite is in the British one. I think it's the Great British Bake Off when something is undercooked and the guy
Hmm.
tells the old lady not to eat it because he doesn't want her to get sick. And he's like, Mary, you don't want to eat that one.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
such an insult.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That's a good show.
Why don't you got to post pictures of your baking stuff now?
Yeah, I mean, I do it in the stories
Yeah,
sometimes. I mean, you probably miss all of them.
I do. I do
Yeah,
miss all of
that's
them.
okay. I'm not offended.
Well, thank you so much. I have so many notes, so many things that
Oh,
we'll have
wow.
to save for the next time.
Okay.
That was a blast.
That was so fun.
Before we stop the recording, is there anything that you would like to promote, and then we can throw it down in the show notes when we release it? Is there anything that you want to promote?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely
Oh,
nothing.
no, no, I guess my YouTube channel. That's about it. And my Instagram.
And when the world opens back up, we got to come to your gigs.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you for being
Kansas
here.
City. Thank you so much for having me.